For me, purpose is kind of like Pokemon. You know, everybody's searching for it, but nobody really knows why. So what I'm going to do, because I'm not really a historian or Darwinist, but I'm a creative and I'm a storyteller. So I'm going to tell you a story about purpose. And like in any other good story, there's a villain, an enemy, something you need to overcome to win the princess and the castle and all the money. And in this little story, it's what I call the two-headed purpose monster. Because too often, and I judge a lot of advertising competitions all around the world, unfortunately too often, purpose seems to be glued onto the brands. It's really not lived. So there's a lot of purpose washing going on, and that's what we're going to explore in this session, and I'm going to come with some monster busters. So some good advice on how to avoid some of these ugly monsters. But the story starts on a faraway planet, the moon, and some of you who are Danish know this little television series, Fjernsyn for Dyr. It's Bamse and Kylling. It's kind of the Danish equivalent of Sesame Street. So you're just going to see one of my favorite characters when I was a kid. Here you go.
Godnat, godnat. Nå, farvel, farvel. Farvel igen. Au. Pas lige lidt på, hvor du går, var. Ja, altså. Hej.
I can see a lot of the international people like, what was that about? Gnøf. It's not a Danish word. Gnøf is not a Danish word. It just doesn't really make much sense. And it doesn't really make much sense to talk to a two-headed purpose monster. And let's just explore it for a little bit, okay? So over here, we have the bull. It's a strong animal. The attentive in the audience would probably say the raging bull in front of the New York Stock Exchange. That's the one. It's the strong one, chasing profit. On the other side, we unfortunately have a somewhat weaker animal, the lamb, a gentle animal. So probably a lot of you seem stuck in this quite forceful dilemma. And we sometimes probably feel like this little guy, Homer Simpson, where we kind of know that we should be doing good. Maybe we thought to ourselves, should we fly to Copenhagen? We're killing off polar bears. On the other hand, you've got the devil that says they got some pretty hot air stewards and air stewardesses on that Scandinavian Airlines flight. Don't they? So that's what the angel is going to tell you. So most often, the thing is, and I see this again and again and again in organizations, you have a mission, a vision, and then you introduce a purpose. A third thing, how are you ever going to move forward with that? You need to integrate the purpose into the brand. We're not talking about a brand and a sustainable brand, a brand and a purposeful brand. This needs to be a clear map forward, else we're going to end up doing something like this. And we're not going to move very far. So quite frankly, when I see brands again and again and again talk about purpose, I get disappointed. How far can we take these companies? Can a potato chip company really talk about world peace? Should it be talking about world peace? So the first little monster buster here today is this one. Is your purpose embedded in your brand's mission? Make sure to have a simple brand offering. A brand is about one thing and one thing only. So if you work with purpose, make sure to integrate that into your vision. Else we're going to end up with this two-headed monster. So let's start with some of the monsters. And I don't know if any of you are here from any of these companies, but average denizens, they say to help make every brand more inspiring and the world more intelligent. Everybody knows average denizens? They do this stuff. Intelligent, inspiring, they're a labeling company. Did they go too far? I won't judge. This one, saving people money so they can live better. Walmart. I've got to acknowledge Walmart for a lot of the stuff they have done within health recently. But probably for the ones of you from the US, you've been in a Walmart, right? There's a category of people, they're called Walmartians. They look like this. I mean, really? Are we fighting for healthy lifestyles? So the other monster bust I want to ask you about is really this one. How many of your products and services are aligned with your purpose? Before you can claim this. How many healthy products does Walmart sell? Look at Nissan, for example, a car company. They launched the Nissan Leaf. It's maybe 1% of their global sales. Are they a purposeful company? I don't know. Or this one, I'm going to really, I'm Danish, so it's a tough one to read. It's our goal to continue to synergistically initiate high standards in information in order to continue to assertively revolutionize timely technology for the high standards. Great mission, right? Anybody know the company? It's not a company, it's a fake. It's done by the mission statement generator. So if you're into buzzwords, plug them in there and save money on consultants. They're expensive. So think twice before you buy a purpose from a consultant. This is much cheaper. It really is. But to the monsters, because I'm going to introduce a couple of monsters, and some of you might recognize some of these monsters. So this monster is quite interesting. It's quite a common monster, where the one head is smaller than the other. And typically, that's kind of the Nissan Leaf. You have the little green car talking, and you have the other big head screaming, profit, profit, profit. So quite a common little monster. Does any of you recognize that monster? Not really, maybe. Maybe this one, Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. You say a lot of good stuff, but in the darkness of day, something else happens. This is kind of the classical greenwashing one. Does your brand leave a positive impact or just a positive impression? That's our little monster buster in terms of that. The next one, it's a scary one. It's one of the most scary monsters that you can come across. It's this little fellow. You might remember it from the film Total Recall with Arnold Schwarzenegger. So you go into the room, you think you're talking to a traditional business guy all dressed in a suit, and suddenly this little thing pops out of the stomach, the evil, because governance is not in place. Probably the best example here would be Volkswagen. I didn't expect anything about it. I have lots of Volkswagen examples in my book, and I praise them for all the good stuff they're doing. The last one of the monsters, a very common one, especially in a Danish context, because we Danes don't like to brag. We don't like to talk about all the good stuff we're doing. So suddenly we turn from this office Clark Kent into Superman, and nobody really believes you. You need to start that journey. You need to talk about these things. People want to hear about them. And the next thing I want to talk about is make sure that that purpose is not generic. If you look at materiality issues, if you look at all that stuff, most industries are faced with the same challenges, so you come up with the same purposes and mission statements like this. This is HSBC and Nordea, a Danish Nordic bank, and pretty much the same thing. Fulfill their hopes and realize their ambitions, fulfill your goals and dreams. Two very close statements. So think about how you can differentiate yourself, because again, we talk about the brand. You need to find a unique standpoint. I don't know how many of you actually can say your company's vision, mission, and purpose, if you have something like that, and then try and add 5 values. Somebody want to try it? What company are you from?
I formerly worked for P&G.
Good, let's see, what are their purpose?
Improving life.
Mission?
Something along those lines.
Vision, value. And we expect consumers, we expect clients, we expect customers to remember this stuff. Nobody can. Make sure that you have something unique on mind. One of the best examples when we stay in kind of the banking sector is from Amex. I think they launched an amazing campaign called Small Business Saturday. For those of you who haven't seen it, go and watch. It's a great campaign, a great initiative. So ask yourself, as a monster buster, is your purpose distinct and differentiating? A very important question. But I know where the problem is, because it's kind of the Homer Simpson syndrome. Because we are the monsters ourselves most of the time. We are the two-headed monsters. We are split between wanting to do the right thing and earning a salary. And I think it's a human thing. It's in all of us. We all want to do the right thing. We should be the most knowledgeable crowd about sustainability. And probably how many of us really buy that fair trade t-shirt and go and buy those organic vegetables? Probably not that many of us. So that two-headed purpose monster starts within us all. And I think the challenge is that purpose is changing so rapidly. So how purpose used to be, I don't know how many of you know this guy on Time magazine. Anybody recognizes him? Howard Schultz, the CEO of Starbucks. One of the really kind of early leaders of purposeful companies. And he's on Time magazine because he does a lot for America, like unemployment, veterans, all that stuff. But I think Starbucks is one of the dinosaurs that had a long neck. They were visionary, but they're moving very slow. And the problem is when people look at them, they see this stuff. How can you talk about shared value when you don't pay tax? Shouldn't they just be paying the taxes and leave the WETs and all those issues alone? But the problem is there's new, exciting players that ask this tough monster buster really loudly. Can you measure your impact? Really? Do you really dare to look at your company in the mirror and say, what is our true impact in society? Because there are smaller companies out there, and we talk about millennials, we talk about Gen Z and all that stuff. Those guys, yeah, they can work in Starbucks, and they might feel a little bit more purposeful than in your average retailer. But look at this little thing from Marie de Cra. She created a completely new type of coffee chain for young people who are passionate about coffee, who is passionate about an organic revolution. They could buy this coffee chart and they could run their own business. And I know all of you that knows everything about millennials, how much and how close that is to the heart of young people today. And it's quite interesting if you look at what Marie de Cra, the founder of Wheelies, talk about. She want to break down a lot of the stuff that you guys are doing, the big brands. And it's an effective model. If you look at it, starting a Starbucks restaurant, $500,000, starting your own little business with Wheelies. If we talk about shared value and access for everyone, this is quite an interesting model, I must say. And right now, it's in 47 countries, because this model is built on a different type of growth, on a different type of purpose. And I think if we got to face the real issue here, I was fortunate enough to grow up in Denmark, in a welfare state, where we all are very fortunate. But unfortunately, the top of the pyramid is getting richer and richer, and the bottom is not really seeing a lot. I think if we talk about purpose and we talk about new business models, I rather believe in the Wheelies models, and I think that's the future of purpose. So today, I think we need to talk about these monsters, these two-headed monsters that are hiding underneath the bed. And probably all of you with children know the only reason, or the only way to get monsters out underneath the bed is to shed some light on them, to talk about these issues openly, to talk about the elephant in the room, and to call out these two-headed monsters. That's the only way we can succeed. So my best and final advice is really this: to recognize bullshit, nose is better than ear. And I can tell you one thing, because I have a pretty big nose, so it rings true with me. So thank you so much for listening in on how to kill purposeful monsters. Thank you. Here at Sustainable Brands, we like to recycle things, so they also recycle me to be emceeing the next speaker. So that's good. The next speaker, I'm really proud to announce. He is the CEO of not just this beautiful building, but all the Carlson residents around the world. So I want to invite Wolfgang Neumann to the stage, and he will share how the hotel group is becoming a sustainable leader in the hospitality industry. So give Wolfgang a warm welcome.
Thanks, Thomas. So from Danish English to Austrian English, and from the people who tell you how to do things, the consultants who have such beautiful words and all the wisdom, to the business reality. I'm not here to tell you any bullshit.